Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and this is the first pre-dev diary, I'm referring to them as, for the Khiangaol mod for EU5. Please understand that the map that I'm showing is in no way a final representation of our world, yet it enables me to show any curious folks such as yourselves the team's plans through my rather limited artistic abilities. The two largest and most settled continents of this world are Mirova in the west, our equivalent of the Old World, and Jarastris in the east, the equivalent of the New World. However, most Mirovans are aware of the existence of Jarastris, unlike Vanilla with the New and Old World, of course. Contact between these two continents has been rather limited, however, due to the lack of technology and a fear amongst Mirovans of the legends telling of gods battling one another eternally in the east being true. The southern lands of Sakalka are mostly overrun by the vicious tendrils of the god Nayalapa. Her broken mind has left the land dangerous even for her followers, and few realms of note have formed there as a result. Few, but not none. There are many places we could discuss in detail. However, for the first video, I shall be presenting an overview of the region of Vestrand, our equivalent of Europe, and the region we will be focusing on for our beta and early versions of Khiangaol. However, we'll be going in more detail on specific factions within the region as I make more videos on the subject. This will be an overview of a couple of the core factions and the general vibe of the continent as a result. And while Vestrand is our equivalent of Europe culturally in its inspirations, being full of cultures descended from Germanics, Celts, and Slavs, Mirova as a continent has a much more even distribution of institutions, and as such, there are already enclaves of the meritocracy institution. Feudalism is dominant in Vestrand as a method of control, spread 1337 years ago. By the tribal mercenary of mixed heritage turned great conqueror and visionary Banarian, as he subjugated the lands within the crescent of Vestrand's Fairtrend range and converted mankind, and any mortals who would listen, away from the worship of gods, decreeing his edict of mortality, that all gods were false and cruel, an ideal that mortals should live for mortals alone, with none above them to shadow their steps, pass judgment, or provide comfort or excuses for mistakes made. The Empire sought to always achieve efficiency, and their non-human subjects from the Chancellery of Mabris spread their bureaucratic techniques across all lands the Empire conquered. Any town without a marble-skinned bureaucrat or administrator is said to be lacking in the prestige to be worthy of notice of the Justimarum, and Malbrite estate, as synonymous with their culture as an island folk are expected to be fishers. The Ban Empire collapsed 1 year ago after the mother of mankind and god of ice and love, Ulwe, sent a spell of devastating power to cause Vestrand to face an ice age and become a glacier, as a lesson to mortals who abandon their false faiths and return to their loving mother. What transpired was slight mercy in comparison, however. As the spell was slowly taking shape and years passed, those among humanity with the gift to strongly sense their mother's location and mental state warned of the danger to come. Among this chaos, a man rose named Tomb. He was rather small, with weak limbs, pale skin, and red eyes, not even a single hair on his body. This Tomb was gifted in magic, in the time where magic was only learned and taught by eccentric academics, priests, and hermits of the wilds. His prowess was unprecedented, and his ambition to teach his skills to all, and in so doing find a way to save the world from its icy fate. The institution of codified magic spread across the Ban Empire, a ritual began to be prepared of immense scale in the center of the crescent, with Tomb and his best mages, to halt Olway's spell. They were betrayed from within, however, and with the failure of Tomb's ritual came a magical blowback never before seen by gods nor men. The mountain peak and where the ritual took place vanished, and the continent itself quaked. For days, the very sun vanished from the sky. Nearly half of Vestrand sank in an event to become known as the Shattering Dusk. Only the lands either too high in elevation to sink, or too warded with newly established mage academies, were able to hold themselves together. And while the lands of eastern Vestrand seldom survived, its people did, and began seeking new homes elsewhere. The year is 1337 mortal age. The Beneric Empire is no more. Its royal line all but destroyed in the Shattering Dusk. Its last heir, the renegade daughter of the last emperor, the self-styled Aelis Last Light Benarian in all her self-aggrandized hubris and hero complex. She survived and gathered what members of the Imperial Army and Navy remained to her side, and journeyed to the former Highlands, and now Islands of Prax, the lands of Benarian the First birth, and where his conquests began, all those 1337 years ago. Perhaps she will restore her realm where it all began, or will the Prax tribesmen, all but united behind their high chieftain, slaughter this self-proclaimed hero of mankind before her destiny that she has determined for herself truly begins? Her story is still in its prologue, and perhaps if she is slain here, the Prax tribesmen will write a new story for themselves at the expense of this self-styled hero. Regardless of whether Aelis survives, however, a terrifying force from north of Vestrand seeks to wipe out her family and its legacy forever. As the last loyal son of Olway, Tarkov marches south through the northern passes, intent on wiping the slate clean, teaching the continent and all mortals a stern lesson on what happens to those who betray the love of their mother. All who do not return to her embrace, and even though some of those who do, will be cleansed to please his mother and finally bring her the satisfaction she deserves for their betrayal so long ago. This demigod of terrifying power, nearly unmatched in all the lands, has lived 100 different lives reincarnated among various mortals throughout history. As each time his skills accumulate, reaching a scale not seen by any other of the lesser divines. Some even consider this man, though demigod, and while only living through a mortal's lifespan until he dies and is reincarnated, he has been considered by many the god of mastery. However, despite this overwhelming odds and such a monstrous foe approaching from the north, the defenders of Vestrand have one last card to play. A man named Gozlotanov, the former marshal of the northern border, seeks to hold fast in the one great fortress that holds the passes at bay. There, he and his forces have defended against waves of Olway's forces ever since last year when the Shattering began, and over that past year they have became beleaguered and weakened. Their leader, though, Gozlotanov himself, is a vampire, one who has been growing in strength as his men and his foes are weakened, draining their life force to increase his own, as they willingly give their power to him. Perhaps this champion of unlikely origin is the one hope that the continent has against this foe of unprecedented strength that they face. The world watches with bated breath to see who will be victorious. On the mainland, the former capital of the western governorates of the empire, Sarum, narrowly avoided complete destruction as the governor Holdwin Altwald was gifted beyond precedent in the empire in the ability to see Ulway's mind, his city being one of the chief targets of Ulway's malice. He sensed the ritual's failure and evacuated any who he could and brought mages to bear. The city's more elevated parts were spared from the shattering, yet the old city and valley was lost forever beneath the waves, turning the city of Saramar into two islands disconnected from the mainland. Their name became known as Twoport, a mockery for their deteriorated state. Yet the enigmatic Holdwin Altwald took on the name as a pride, evidence of his determination to save his people. Through the aid of the Mabreg Justamarum and its entrenched bureaucracy across the old empire, Holdwin was able to travel the former lands of the Ban Empire that yet survived and brought order and compromise to the chaos. Now all look to him for leadership as the Lord Protector of the Vestanded Concord, the new international organization formed from the former Imperial Western Governorate as a defensive pact that tentatively gave oaths of fealty to the Lord Protector in Twoport, as a continuation of the precedent of him being their former governor. Next time, we will go into greater detail on some specific factions that can be found in Vestrand within our team scope for the beta version of Khiangaol, such as the Legacy of the Great Wizard Tomb in the newly formed Kingdom of Tumeria, the scheming bureaucrats of Mabris, and the Republic of Laventia, which teeters on the edge of disaster. But for now, I must thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate all who take notice and are interested in the setting. I hope to see you all on release as we begin testing out EU5 and its code. But for now, I'll thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.